Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special weekend edition of Teaching Crypto. We are here to explain what has happened with Bitcoin the last 48 hours. I wouldn't freak out just yet, but we're going to be honest about things. Please, if you haven't done so, smash that subscribe button. Welcome to our new subscribers. Thank you to all of you who have been here for supporting us. We greatly appreciate it. The store and super chats are available. All right, Mr. FOMO. There was some panic yesterday. Bitcoin actually went down to 60K. We've somewhat bounced back. It was only a week ago, 8 days ago, we were doing a show talking about 70K. Well, what happened? Well, things in the world have happened, obviously. We're not going to go into everything that's happening around the world, but things are unsettled. And you were talking to me off the air. The market's not made out of stupid people. They don't have their head in the sand just watching the Olympics and waiting for football season to start. They know what's happening. And the reality is, actually, to me, Bitcoin going down to 62K is not that bad, considering it was at 64. And you know what I mean? So given what's happening around the world, considering what happened to the stock market just 24 hours ago, I actually think this is not that bad. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. What do you think?
I I don't think it's that bad. I think it's another opportunity, especially for people like Voyager customers or people who are getting back distributions.
That's a great point. Great point.
You also mixed in here is the Genesis trading money that came out. You still got the German money was from weeks ago, but you've got a lot of negative selling pressure on here. The Mt. Gox money is still out there. And so there's a lot of negative selling pressure, but the real problem is the world is going crazy. And so when you see the US sending more warships than into the Middle East than they have since 2003, like you said before, the market understands what's happening there. The market sees that, and the players don't mess around. And so like today, breaking news, you've got what was it you said? The U.S. embassy in Lebanon is telling all their U.S. citizens to hop on the next flight. Those kinds of things aren't ignored by the market. And when you see those things going on, like a war in Ukraine or a war in Palestine, or U.S. embassies telling their citizens to get the heck out of an area, something bad is about to happen, and the market is going to respond in kind.
So this is unprecedented territory with a bull run. Obviously, Bitcoin's only been around for 14 and a half years, but you haven't seen now with COVID. I wasn't in at the very beginning of COVID, but initially Bitcoin got hit hard. And we'll talk about the alts a little bit. They got decimated. They get decimated by far a lot worse. But when COVID how do I put this? When people realized they were going to be able to stay at home and buy crypto and stocks, it recovered really well. So you just don't know how things are going to react. It's the unknown that's scaring people. And so we want to be honest with our viewers. The alts are the first ones that get destroyed. Now, it could be a huge buying opportunity, but you don't know how long you're going to have to wait to take profits. I really thought if things were normal right now, we would have stabilized, taken over 70, and been going towards 75. That has been delayed. Now, I still think 70K is in the books this month, but we have to wait and see what happens, right? We can't ignore what's going on around us. So no one can predict the future exactly. If things were normal, I would say 70K, absolutely. I still think we're getting to 80K. I still think 100K is happening before November 1st. But you got to be aware that not everything goes as planned. And so that you're right. People are not stupid. You saw what happened with the stock market. Bitcoin will be fine. Bitcoin will survive this. Whatever happens, like we talked about, Bitcoin doesn't need politicians. Politicians need Bitcoin. You will need Bitcoin. Even if you're watching the show laughing, you will, in 10 years from now, wish you had a lot more Bitcoin, wherever you're watching this program. I'm pretty confident.
It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are or what level of Bitcoin you're at, right? in 10 years, you're going to wish you had more Bitcoin. It
Yes.
doesn't matter which end of the spectrum you're on. If you're Michael Saylor in 10 years, you're still going to wish you had more Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. And you got Dustin brought off a great point, one of our viewers. This, and I didn't think this was going to happen, but it's timing perfectly for Voyager people. This is going to allow Voyager people to, if you choose to, and you watch the show, do your research, not financial advice, put your check in the market. We're going to talk about something that I think is as safe of an alt as you can put in, and it's not ETH. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit. All right. So speaking of opportunity, Michael Saylor is seeing this as an opportunity. And so what is he doing? Well, what he's decided to do is get an additional 169 more Bitcoin at least. Okay. And he's trying to raise more money to buy even more.
Another funding round.
Yeah. So he's not he's not fooling around. He's not scared. Now, if you're not aware, Michael Saylor is only into Bitcoin. He doesn't fool around with the alts. He's a very long-term person, right? He's not sure whether they're commodities or securities, these alts, so he doesn't play around. But again, this shows you the people that have assets are not just leaving them in the dollar. They're going to either property, gold, and people like him, Bitcoin. And as the years go on, more people, my opinion, instead of turning to gold and property, more and more people will turn to Bitcoin because of the convenience. If you want to go buy a property, you got to go get an agent. You got to fill out paperwork. It could be a month before you finalize that property. If you want to buy gold, you got to go physically buy it, right? Even if you order it, it's not coming to your doorstep within 10 minutes. In 2 minutes, you get on an app and buy Bitcoin and it's yours. And I think as time goes on, and it's hard to imagine this, but you talk to people, we're still early. Not everyone in the mainstream believes in owning Bitcoin yet, Mr. FOMO. It's slowly starting to change. I think 8 years from now, if you're anti-Bitcoin, I don't think you're going to have a political career. And you're seeing that slowly change. But I think as people realize next generation, right, our children, 10, 15, 20 years from now, they're not going to want to buy gold. They're going to want to buy Bitcoin. And 5 years ago, that would have sounded like an insane person was talking, but that's where we're headed.
I believe buying gold will still be around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe it'll be more of a novelty because gold is rare as well, but it's just that, it will be for jewelry. It will be for things like that. It'll still have its relevance. But I still think that Bitcoin, like you said, is going to overtake gold, is going to be the preferred asset to hold. Because, like you said, the ease in which you can get your hands on it. Gold, you've got to order it. It's got to come to your house. Bitcoin, you can just jump on there and get it. So, yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think all of our viewers probably agree with you too.
Yeah. And so this week is going to be interesting. Now, if things around the world stabilize, I think you're going to see a very, very nice recovery and the alts will follow, right? If you're holding alts right now, you're not very happy. And the Soul Train, Mr. FOMO, well, it's come to a stop. Let's talk about it. Now, ETH is at 3K, so that's an opportunity. But look here. Soul is back in the 152, and you did buy some. So why don't you explain to our viewers why you chose to pick up some Soul in the last 24 hours?
Well, it's an ugly statement, but there's an old statement in investing that says when there's blood in the streets, you should buy when there's blood in the streets, even when the blood is your own. And so, knowing that warships were headed to the Middle East, knowing that, finding out that the U.S. embassy in Lebanon is telling people to get out, knowing that Iran has promised to retaliate in some way, shape, or form. These are buying opportunities because of so many negative world events. And so when I saw it at 150, I thought, we were just talking about it the other day, and it was much higher than that. Let me go ahead and scoop some up.
I mean, I think when the market recovers, this thing is headed to 300 within weeks. So now guess what you're looking at? Close to a 2x. Now, again, things have to change. Okay. Kodiak, yeah, what a gift it is. Yeah, guys, check your mailboxes all of next week, and not financial advice, but you know, one bright spot is it's kind of worked out here. You're picking up Bitcoin in the low 60s. If you get it early enough, you're picking up these alts at historic prices. Not historic, but I really didn't think these alts would be this low at this point. It's been 4 months after we hit all-time highs and we still haven't recovered. And so you're picking, yeah, like Solana. I mean, right now you can get injective under 20. Like you said, you can get ETH at 3K. I'm actually pretty impressed that ETH, Mr. FOMO, is actually sitting at 3K. That's strength to me, honestly. I know it was at 4K earlier at the height of this bull run, but 3K to me is impressive. I talked about Avalanche. You can pick it up right now under 24. And Mr. FOMO, Muse right now. You are looking at Muse. You can pick it up at 4.4 million market cap. So
That's right.
for transparencies, you hold Muse. What are your I know you don't like to make predictions, but let's say that things normalize over the next couple months, and I'll pull up the Muse chart here so you can go over it with people. What are your expectations? Because we want to talk about our viewers. Market cap really does matter, right? Because the cap, you do the math, the more something could jump with a day. You know, some things might take weeks. Solana is now going to 300 in 24 hours. Very, very unlikely. It'll take a few days, maybe even a week. But something like this, Mr. FOMO, we are down to a 4 million market cap. You see here it's under $9. I know you don't like to see that because you're holding a decent amount.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I remember getting it at, I think it was 882. So I'm not hurting. And as a matter of fact, I should probably jump in and buy some more. That way I can, just have some more.
At the top of the market in March, let us remind our viewers, this was at 27, trying to get to 30, right? So this, to me, now here's the thing. What are the best and worst case scenarios? Worst case scenario, this bull run gets completely delayed by maybe a year. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna happen, but we got to give our viewers full transparency. Okay, if things get worse and worse. Okay, now here's the thing. Okay, if things do normalize, now what you could have on your on hand is some very quick recoveries, and then you want to be looking at the alts, right, Mr. FOMO, that have low market caps that have done well during this cycle. You want to be careful, because if you are just buying stuff like Cardano that have done well in the last cycles, you might be in for a bad surprise because that's not where the sentiment is. So this is something that has done well this cycle that we've told you about this show. You could see this going to 24 in a matter of a week, and that's a nice little 3x there.
Yes. That's my thinking behind it, and I actually have a target that's much lower than that. If I double up, I'm going to get out. I might even get out before that, just to be safe. But this could easily get back into the 20s and be be something spectacular. If you're buying it right now, you could 3x in a matter. And like you said, the market cap is so low that it could 3x in a matter of days. Really, I mean, some of the pumps that you've seen, these afternoon pumps that this one gets, and that's kind of why I like playing it, because it gets these afternoon pumps of millions of dollars. And so you could, when things are going right, you could really make some money off of Muse.
Okay,
let's answer that question in the chat. We had curious if anyone is concerned about the leak of our home addresses to scammers where the checks will be mailed. That is a concern. So that's why you would want to be checking your mailbox every single day to make sure that, and if you don't get it within a certain amount of time, you want to be contacting Voyager and contacting Paul Hage and the team. But I would imagine that it would be difficult for them to travel to a bunch of different places. I just don't know how logistically they would get into your mailboxes, or there's a lot of, There's a lot easier ways to scam these days than going to your house and getting it out of your mailbox. So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but I don't foresee any problem with it as long as you're checking your mail pretty regularly. I have a camera out in front of my house watching my mailbox anyhow, just in case of those porch pirates, or somebody picking through my mail or somebody getting in my driveway. So for me, it's not much of a concern, but I could see where you might be concerned there.
Kodiak with a question about JD Vance owning Avalanche. I'll have to look that up. I didn't see that, but you could be right.
He's a crypto guy. Like I think he owns somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000 worth of Bitcoin.
I know that he had self custody of Bitcoin. I didn't see Avalanche on the list of his ownings, but it doesn't mean that you're not right. And yeah, obviously, that could affect the market too. Honestly, guys, if the world just settles down, I think the bull run is back on, and I'm very bullish. But again, we're not going to sit here and lie to you. What happens around the world does matter, right? Just real life. If you might plan on doing something, going on an amazing trip, and if your kids get sick, really sick, you don't go on the trip. And that's not a great analogy, but life changes, and you got to adapt. We're not going to be one of those shows that says, oh yeah, we're hitting 500K in 2 weeks. We get us 50,000 subs. By the way, we should have more subs, but that's a whole nother story. But we try to keep it real on the show. But again, hopefully, and I do believe better days are ahead. Hopefully, wherever you are, the sun is out. Enjoy your family, enjoy the weather. We'll be back next week with some awesome shows. Mr. FOMO, anything else before we hit the road here?
That's it. Those of you in the path of the tropical depression, get ready for some rain, but that's not a real big concern down here. Tropical depressions and tropical storms down in Florida aren't that big of a thing. So we'll be okay. But here's to rate cuts coming in the fall, guys. Fingers crossed. That's from Kodiak. That's going to be good news. I think the market will respond as we get closer to that time. I don't necessarily think it will wait until that, but like AZ said, world events are going to keep affecting the market. So keep it here so you know what's going on and the latest in crypto.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you for your support. If you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. Please share the show, hit that like button, and have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
See you.